Welcome to the FMC Motorsport Workshop, located here in the Nobre neighborhood, more precisely Villa Sonia. If you need any maintenance or preparation service, you can call Rafa here. This is Rafa. How are you, Rafa? Great. He's the owner of the workshop. He'll be able to assist you in the best way possible. And the idea of today's video is for us to talk about maintenance of the DQ250 transmissions to change the transmission fluid. How long does it take to change it? How often should you change it? And everything you need to do it. Over to you, Rafa. Well, folks, here at the workshop we recommend replacing the transmission fluid in the DQ250 every 60,000 kilometers or 3 years. Whichever comes first, and remember that this is a recommendation. Besides being Rafa's recommendation, it's the factory recommendation from Volkswagen and Audi, okay? Remember that this transmission is shared by both brands, Volkswagen and Audi. And besides the fluids, what else needs to be changed? We replace the transmission fluid, transmission oil filter and the O-ring for the oil filter. We always recommend using genuine Volkswagen fluid. It's the only one we use, it's the one sold at the dealership and it meets all the specifications of the vehicle's transmission. And also, one of the other things that is not a rule, but I've had many people say and I've also had this experience is that why do they use genuine Volkswagen oils here? Okay. You can use either Volkswagen or Audi, it's the same, because they both own the same brand, okay. But what I wanted to explain here to you. Guys, some people, even I have used Motu oil for the transmission, but I felt a difference and many other people felt a difference too, that when using Motu, I'm not saying in any way that Motu oil for the transmission is bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that usually when people start using Motu oil, they feel a little extra jolt. When we use original Volkswagen or original Audi oil, it doesn't give that extra jolt, okay. So I had this experience as a consumer. Other friends, people who watch the channel, also told me this story. So, in general, what I would recommend, what Rafa recommends, is to use original Volkswagen oil. It has a good cost-benefit ratio. Just to reiterate, I'm not saying that Motu oil is bad, so much so that I only use Motu 8100 as engine oil. But for gearboxes, I think it's better to use the original, okay? When we see that one is better, we recommend one brand. When we see that something else is better, we recommend another brand. So here, no one is sold to the brand, nor paid for it, so we're going to recommend the best one to the customer, okay? And also, in addition to changing the oil, Rafa will explain about the filter. What happens if it goes too long after the oil change? This filter here, it is made of a kind of paper, roughly speaking, right? After the expiration date that the automaker recommends for replacing the transmission fluid and filter, it starts to fall apart, it starts to crumble, and if you take too long to change it, it will contaminate the transmission inside with bits of the transmission filter. And what can happen with this problem of it falling apart is the following. It will start to clog other parts of the transmission, right? So it will clog the solenoid part, it will clog other places that will cause a bigger, more expensive problem. And for those of you who are going to buy a used car, there are people who end up changing it and actually drive more than 60,000 miles in 3 years. But most of them don't drive that much in 3 years. So if you're going to buy a used car and the previous owner doesn't have the receipt, okay? I'm not saying that, in my opinion, if the owner says, oh, I already changed it, change it. If he doesn't have the receipt, change it, because it's much cheaper to change the transmission oil than to change a transmission like that, which is very expensive, okay, and nobody wants to get screwed over right when they buy the car. So, in my opinion, if you bought a car and the owner said he changed it, but there's no receipt, change the transmission oil so that you don't have the problem. And the other thing that comes in the kit would be original Volkswagen, which would be the seal on the filter, okay. Where this seal will ensure that it won't leak, okay. Which is also another important thing. There's no point in changing this whole kit and forgetting about the seal, so change everything. One of the other things that is also recommended and important in this oil change is to do it at a place that knows what it's doing, okay, because it's not just about draining the oil and pouring all that oil back in, no. There is a procedure that is performed based on temperature, a procedure that is performed after the change. We use a scanner and wait for the transmission fluid to reach the ideal temperature, because this fluid expands. So, if we perform a procedure to check the transmission level when the car is very hot, there is a kind of straw-shaped plug inside the transmission, which is what will make it check the level there. Whatever is in it will be thrown out, it will come out through the drain plug. So, if we perform the procedure to check the transmission fluid without the fluid being at operating temperature, well, if it is a little warmer, it will have a greater volume, it will be expanded and will end up expelling a lot of oil. So, when the car is cold, there will be less oil than necessary inside the transmission. So, this is the correct way to do the change, where you will ensure that the temperature is correct and that the amount of oil is correct. Because of the 6 liters that are used here, part of it is put in the car entirely, but part of it is emptied later, precisely to ensure a perfect level, okay? So, when you fill it with 6 liters, it will have a pin that will mark the level, and whatever is above it will leak. It will be wasted precisely so that it maintains the perfect level. But all of this has to be done at the correct temperature. If you don't have it at that temperature, you will have more oil that can cause problems, or less oil that can also cause problems. Okay, so, if you have a Jetta, a Passat, a Tiguan, a Golf, a Beetle or any other model, such as an Audi A3, Audi TT, that uses this transmission and needs to change it, whether it's past the time or still in time, do the change. And another tip, even if it's been a while, don't forget to change it, because if you don't change it, it's guaranteed to give you problems. If you change it, it's guaranteed that it won't give you problems or that it probably was going to give you problems. So you'll give your gearbox a longer life, okay? Remember that it's a very good gearbox, it can handle a lot of abuse, but it needs to be maintained. Those who don't do maintenance will have problems. And for those who need it, obviously, I'll leave the contact details for the OFMC workshop here for you. I'll leave them here in the description and also here at the end of the video, the address and phone number so you can get in touch and schedule an appointment for your maintenance. And remember that here they do both maintenance and remaps. They specialize in the Audi Volkswagen line and some other brands. So if you don't have a Volkswagen Audi, but you do have another model from another brand, you can come here to FMC and Rafa will help you and answer your questions and also keep your car up to date with maintenance. Alright, guys, thanks, Rafa, thanks, sir.